Hello YouTubers, I thought it was about time for another new Pocket HD camcorder review edition type video. I've been having a look online at the various different cameras that are coming out and that are out now. Some of the ones which I missed when I did my last video, and I've basically narrowed it down to sort of 3, maybe 4 cameras. I know that there are other cameras that have come out, but these are the cameras that I would be interested in if I was looking. So let's start with the Toshiba P20 and S30. Now the only differences between these two cameras that I could find was the sensor size. The P20 is 5 megapixel and the S30 is 8 megapixel. Now I downloaded the manual and had a look at the specifications, and that's where I got all my information from. And that's the same for all of these cameras. Resolutions 1080p, 720p, 60 frames and 30 frames, and VGA. 16 times digital zoom according to the manual. I think in the advert it's a little bit lower than that. I couldn't find out about the mic. I did have a look. It didn't say whether it was stereo or mono. I would assume they've probably kept with the previous model. Memory, 128 megabytes of memory on board. And it takes SDHC cards, SDXC and SD cards. Stills, both cameras do 16 megapixels and 3 megapixels. The P20 does 5 and the S30 does 8. Power, it's charged by USB. It's got a lithium battery and loads of adapters and stuff like that, but I'll talk about that in a minute. The software looked relatively okay. Like all of the software with these pocket cameras, it's very basic. Effects, slow motion, macro, flash, white balance, image stabilization, auto exposure. Now it's meant to have quite good low light. It's got an ISO setting in it which goes up to 1600. You can manually change it. Whether that actually makes it have a good low light capability, I don't know. Plus the fact it's got a flash on it, we'll have to wait and see what appears on YouTube when they come out. HDMI, yes, it does have a HDMI socket and you get the cable with it, which is groovy. 3-inch touchscreen flip out screen, which is another groovy thing. File format is MP4 and the stills is JPEG. The video quality did look quite good. There was a couple of samples on YouTube which I saw, but I did hear some clicking in the background. So whether that was actually because it was a pre-production model, I don't know. And again, we'll have to wait and see what comes out on YouTube. The accessories, as far as I'm concerned, Toshiba and Kodak have the best accessories. The accessories you get with this, you pretty much get everything. If they put in an SD card, then it would just be perfect. It's due out January next year. Price wise, I could only find it in the UK. £140 for the S30 and £120 for the P20. And the S30 comes in 5 colours and the P20 comes in 2 colours. Now, these two cameras have the potential to be quite good. If it's got a stereo mic on it, then that is going to be brilliant. And if it does really good low light, then that is going to be groovy. But like all these things, it also has the potential to be a bit naff. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Next up is the Sony Bloggie Touch. Resolutions 1080p, 720p, 60 frames and 30 frames. No VGA or WVGA, which I was quite surprised at. The zoom is 1 times optical, 4 times digital. It has a mono mic, 8 gig of memory on board, but no, I don't think it has an SD card slot. Stills is 12, 8 and 2 megapixels. You power it via USB with a little lead that you get with it, and that's it. The software looked relatively okay. Effects, auto white balance, image stabilization, auto macro, pretty much the same as the last Bloggie. HDMI, it does have the socket, but it doesn't have the lead. 3-inch touchscreen on the front of it, which is quite big. File format is MP4 and JPEG for stills. Video quality, now the video quality was quite good. It reminded me a lot of the Bloggie that I had but one of the problems was the autofocus again. Also, the tripod mount that's on the bottom of it, so you sort of stand it up like this on the tripod, but it records in portrait mode. The two sides are chopped off and you only get a little bit in the middle. In order to actually get the full picture, you've got to record like that. But the problem is that the tripod mount's there. So unless you get some kind of clip to hold it like that, it's just a nightmare. And a lot of people have been saying that it's been putting them off because of that. Accessories, you can get a 360 lens for it. Some companies you get it with it, some companies you have to buy it. But as far as accessories are concerned, you get very little. The release date, you can get it now. It's £180 in the UK and $150 in the US, and it comes in 3 colours. I think the disappointing thing about this was the fact that it still had the autofocus problem, and now you have the portrait problem as well, which is a real shame because this could have been quite a good camera. That's the Sony Bloggie Touch. Lastly, we have the Flip Ultra HD 3rd generation. Now the reason I went for the Ultra HD is because if I was to get another Flip, then it would be the Ultra HD one that I would get. Now they have done a few changes to their cameras, and I'll explain more when I talk through the spec. 720p resolution in 50 frames per second. That is off their website. So they've changed the frames per second. I think it has the same zoom as the previous models. Stereo mic, 8 gig of memory on board, but it can't be expanded. No capability of stills. The only way you can do it is via the software. You charge it via USB, and it's got this funny sort of dual capability where it takes 4 hours to charge the battery, but you can put AA batteries in as well. AAA batteries. The software looked relatively alright. Effects, they've added image stabilization, and I think that's it. HDMI, it does have the socket, but it doesn't have the cable, and it now has this new flip port, which they are yet to announce the reason for it. I think people think that the accessories that attach to the flip port will be things like headphones or a microphone or whatever, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. The screen is 2 inches. The file format I think is the same as what it was previously. The video quality, a lot of people are saying that the video quality has suffered because of the image stabilization and the extra frames per second. Apparently the colours aren't as good, and the quality isn't as good either. One of the biggest selling things about the Flip was the fact that the low light was relatively decent, if not the best, and the normal daytime was the best for quite a while until recent cameras have come out. But now that they've changed they've put these extra things in, people are saying that the quality of the picture has actually suffered because of it. That's a bit of a shame, really. You hardly get any accessories with it. I think you get a pouch and the manual, and that's about it. You can get it now. It's £145 in the UK and $180 in the US, and it comes in 2 colours. Now, I was a little bit disappointed about the Flip. One of the main selling points about the Flip was it was very basic and you got really good sound and video quality even in low light. But now it seems that they have sacrificed that good quality just to put these extra things in. Even though a lot of people have been moaning about the fact that Flip hasn't kept up with all the other companies, it seems that in their attempt to try, they have sacrificed the one good thing that the Flips did. So that's a bit of a shame, really. So there you go. That's my new review on recent cameras that have come out. I think if I was to get any of these, it would probably be the Toshiba ones, because I think the other two, I just wouldn't like them, I don't think. I hope this has helped, and I'll do some more later on. Okay then, bye-bye.